We'll get it kicked off. So welcome to today's coffee break. I'm Brandon Verruff. I'm the chair of the Education Committee. We're excited to feature this networking opportunity with our Missouri Gateway Chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. Today we have some members and some non-members of our chapter, so thank you for joining us. Our chapter, like many other nonprofits throughout the country, rely on funding, and the biggest source is through our memberships. So if you aren't already a member, please consider joining our chapter membership. There are various different levels in order to join to make it accessible for everyone. And if you already are a member, do not forget to renew. There's a new link, so make sure that your membership hasn't lapsed. So the goal of our coffee breaks are to provide an opportunity for our community to engage in conversational hot topics over a cup of coffee and a short 30-minute break, okay? I hope you guys have your cups. Our theme for today's conversation is about green school connections. And we have today with us Hope Gribble. She's our Education and Green Schools Manager. Hope manages the Green Schools Quest program with the assistance of the Green Schools Quest Committee and serves as the co-administrator of Missouri Green Schools, a joint program of USGBC-Missouri Gateway Chapter and the Missouri Environmental Education Association. So just some guidelines before we get in. The option to view the grid view is up in the right-hand corner to see all of the callers' faces. We love to see your face, so turn on your cameras. The chat function is accessible at the bottom via options at the bottom of the screen. Please try to be respectful of others, allow others to join in the conversation, but feel free to just jump in. You don't necessarily need to be called upon to start speaking. But if you have something to say and you don't want to interrupt anyone, you can just give one of those little reaction signs at the bottom, and we'll make sure to bring you into the conversation in the next available opportunity. And then finally, just try to keep yourself muted unless speaking to avoid any kind of background noise. And without further ado, Hope.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brandon, and really good to see everyone. I am going to go ahead and share my screen and all right, is everyone able, oh, it's loading. Is everyone able to see my screen? Thumbs up, yeah. Okay, great, awesome. Well, I'd like to start off by acknowledging that mentors participating in the Green Schools Quest are really a key part of the program and making a huge difference in the lives of students in across our community. And last year when we wrapped up the program, we reached out to a number of teachers and mentors and students to ask them to share some of their thoughts and put together some video compilations about the program. And one thing that kept coming up, especially among the teacher interviews, was the mentor connection and how really valuable that was and what a huge difference it makes. So I just want to, give a sincere thanks and shout out to each of you who are mentoring, and for those on the call today who are not yet mentoring, thanks for considering the opportunity for the future. So today's coffee break is really intended to be an informal discussion where mentors can share their experience and provide feedback and ideas for improving the Green Schools Quest program. However, before we do that, I wanted to share a little bit about the program in general, just to level set for any folks who are new today to the program, but also share some ideas that we have about the upcoming year, some of our goals, and then also share some new developments about another program that we are partnering with the Missouri Environmental Education Association on. So I thought it'd be helpful to first just share what we mean by the term green schools, because that really is at the heart of all of our green schools related work. So these three areas or pillars that you see on the screen here are becoming the common definition for green schools across the country and really the world, that's being used by a variety of organizations. So ultimately, we are working to support schools in reducing environmental impact and costs, improving health and wellness of students and staff, and then increasing environmental and sustainability literacy. And within a school, these outcomes are brought to life through the school's physical place, the buildings and grounds, as well as the materials that flow through. So energy and water, paper, food, the organizational culture, so the shared values and social norms and practices within the school, and then the educational programming, so connecting people, place, purpose through curriculum, and as well as extracurriculars. So the Green Schools Quest, which was launched in 2013, is an annual project-based challenge to K through 12 schools to implement no or low-cost sustainability projects with the help of a green mentor. And that is taking place over a period of 6 months, and it can be the schools can participate every year. So as long as school and mentor teams are engaging in a new project each year, they are welcome to participate and encouraged to over and over again. And those projects are intended to be student driven. So we have had over, let's see here, oops, sorry about that. We've had over 150 schools participate thus far, and our fabulous intern and current green mentor, Victoria Coleman, who's here with us today, has put together a map showing the past participation. And you can see that it is color-coded, showing which schools have participated, for how many number of years and things like that. As you zoom in, you'll see most of the schools are currently in the St. Louis regional area, and a lot of the schools that have participated 5 years or more are really in the St. Louis County area. Those are showing up as the yellow images here. So this year, as we adapted to COVID, there were a number of changes, and I'm not going to go through all of the things on this slide. Most of the individuals here today are currently mentors. But I just want to really point out that the main difference would be that the typical format is really a 6-month comprehensive project. And this year we've broken it into these monthly challenges that are based upon a sustainability principle. So whether that's interconnectedness or systems thinking, social equity, there are 7 different principles that we're basing this around. So when we think ahead about next year, we still are not certain about what the school year is going to look like. And our Green Schools Quest Committee is thinking about doing a hybrid model where schools could either participate in that more extensive 6-month project and perhaps have the opportunity for maybe a larger reward or award potentially, and then also have the option to participate in monthly challenges. So we're still trying to figure that out, but I'd love your feedback in just a little bit on that. We're also really seeking to increase the diversity of schools and mentors, and specifically thinking about racial diversity, geographic diversity, and project focus and mentor expertise. In the past, we had a lot of recycling and gardening, which is fantastic, but we do want to really try to diversify the project type, and that's what I mean by project focus there. Actually, I will say that we've seen more diversity this year with the monthly challenges and project focus. And then we want to connect more directly with Missouri Green Schools, which is the next program that I am going to share with you now. So Missouri Green Schools. All right, this is a joint program of the USGBC and the Missouri Environmental Education Association, whose executive director, Leslie Moylan, I need to give a shout out to. She's been a real driving force and valuable partner in this work, and we appreciate this valuable partnership. This program is also supported by the partners that are listed below at the bottom of the slide. So it is a free statewide tracking and recognition program for pre-K through 12 schools that is holistic in nature and offers recognition for reaching emerging, progressing, and advanced levels of achievement. This image touches upon some of the elements that we were talking about when defining green schools. Again, you have this In the central circle, you have in the warm colors, the reducing environmental impacts and the health and wellness and sustainability literacy, as well as how that's brought about in the school through those three core areas. And it really underscores that Missouri Green Schools is about systems-based holistic work that encompasses all of those. It is an annual program and oriented towards ongoing expansion and improvement. So ideally, it's also driven by a diverse group of stakeholders. It begins by establishing where the school is currently at through using a self-assessment. Then a green team is created and participants begin to establish baselines, set and work towards goals, and track progress made along the way. A continuous loop of tracking, planning, and implementation is created. And at the end of each school year, the school submits a little prompt for review to us, and we go in and take a look at all of the work that they've done and recognize them at the level aligned with their achievements. In addition to offering statewide recognition, Missouri Green Schools is also the conduit for a national recognition program called the U.S. Department Green Ribbon Schools Award, which recognizes schools across the country that have demonstrated excellence in these three pillars that we've been talking about, with the reduced environmental impact, health and wellness, and sustainability literacy. So each state's Department of Education can nominate 5 schools per year, and we partner with Mia and Desi on nominating schools for the state of Missouri. The primary tool that schools are using when they're navigating is this program is called the Sustainability Tracking and Roadmap Tool, or START, which was developed by an organization called the Green Schools Alliance. START includes yes or no questions across roughly 50 metrics that can be used for self-assessment, tracking of school level sustainability, and then also to generate ideas for next steps. They are organized into the physical place, educational programming, and organizational culture, following some of that definition that we grounded ourselves in. And it allows for schools to upload photos and documentation and things like that to really track all their efforts in one spot. So I just want to share a few screenshots of, not going to go into these, but this is just an example of kind of the dashboard, start guides. This is one of the metrics. Essentially, for each metric, you have yes or no questions that would be at 3 different levels. It's easy to navigate across the bar on the top that's colored to go through to all of the 50 different metrics. And there are just different views that you can look at things and resources in there. So it's a really great tool. And so we are in the middle of an expansion project for Missouri Green Schools. It's currently piloting this school year, and we are deep in developing this program and providing one-on-one support to underserved schools. And a key aspect of this work is that there are 4 amazing AmeriCorps Vista members who are providing full-time service towards these efforts. One of whom is on the call with us today, Parker. Shout out to Parker. And yeah, so much going on. But that is like in a nutshell, Missouri Green Schools. And the last slide I'd like to share is just this ecosystem slide that's really talking about how all of these programs work together. So most of you on the call today are a part of the Green Schools Quest, serving very important roles as mentors. And we want to keep the Green Schools Quest strong and advancing in a really good direction. We also want to really better link these programs that are all evolving. So just to help kind of break them out a little bit, you have Missouri Green Schools in the middle here. That is serving to really like track, assess, and plan. And you can get recognized at various levels. The Green Schools Quest is really about implementation, student-driven, mentor-led, or supported. And again, there is recognition and a competition at that. Either of those are entry points. and they both are annual programs that a school can participate over and over again. The green ribbon all the way on the right is that high level of recognition, and a school needs to, Missouri Green Schools is the conduit for that. So they would need to enroll in Missouri Green Schools. And then when they're achieving very high levels across the board, they could be considered as a nominee for that national recognition. There are also some professional development opportunities that I'm not going to get into, but they are pictured in this image along the bottom. And those are also entry points to all 3 programs. And they also provide support to educators and administrators across the board in thinking about education for sustainability and really applying, all of these things that we've been discussing today. So that is all I have to share here. I know it was a lot at once, but from here, I have a few discussion questions. First and foremost, I just wanted to toss out like any initial questions or reactions.
It feels like to me that the tracking, I didn't know about all of the tracking that was going on with the green schools. Is that what, I guess, what part is that? Is that in the Missouri Green Schools, or is that part of the ribbon?
Well, it's the Missouri Green Schools. The green ribbon is really, when you're at that point, it's really about demonstrating achievement. And so you need to have demonstrated achievement, and that would be narrative, but also backed by data. For instance, our school has been using Energy Star Portfolio Manager to benchmark our energy, and now we've reduced it by X amount. Or we've been integrating unique opportunities for nutrition education and students to interact with a garden that we have on campus, and bring out some specific examples of curriculum that they might have. So that at that point, it's really about putting together a pretty extensive nomination package documenting your achievements. And so we're hoping that Missouri Green Schools can be this like repository in a way, that tool, that start tool for schools to begin collecting information that they would eventually use in their nomination. And also to help with, if there are perhaps staff members who've been really taking leadership roles in sustainability that might move on, hopefully having this start tool in place would help with transitioning and engaging more individuals and really housing that data and intellectual knowledge.
Is there a place where all 3 of those programs are referenced collectively? Since some of the work that I do at the Green Schools Quest is consulting on like garden projects and outdoor classroom space. I'm also involved in potential projects with the Orchard Farm School District and Melville. They're trying to create, I'm amazed, outdoor classroom spaces at 4 or 5 different schools. And I'm starting to talk to them about like the Discover Nature curriculum that I know the Conservation Department has. Apparently Oakville Middle School has like a Science Academy program where they're like immersing the students and having them play a role in how their curriculum is developed. And it's very like activity based. And so these programs would be awesome, I think, for these schools that I'm working with. And I just wonder if there's an easy way to, so I'm trying to keep track. That slide that you presented was very helpful in how they each fit in with each other. Mm-hmm. What's the easiest way, I guess, to refer them to more information about these programs? Since I don't know if there's like 3 separate websites, or what's the easiest way or best way for us to promote these programs with the schools that we interact with?
Well, there is a link that just was placed into the chat box that is kind of like a Green Schools landing page on our chapter's website. This is a new page, so you may have never seen it before, and it just has a very brief outline of the different programs that we either host or are a significant partner on. So that's a good starting point, but then each of those links is going to take you to a whole lot of really great information, especially that Missouri Green Schools website. everybody has to check out Missouri Green School's website. And I think Freddie posted it in the chat a little bit earlier here, but it's phenomenal, a recent launch, and it has a lot of really great information as well. Angie, I'm so excited to hear you're working with these schools, and would love to connect with you further on that and see how we can work together to support their involvement in both of these programs.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Hope, this is Hannah. Fabulous. Congratulations, congratulations. Can't say enough good things. What, in terms of expanding into even more schools, what are the resources you need? Now, I think that for AmeriCorps, I think that's, my understanding is they're helping you tremendously make contacts to schools that up to now we haven't been in touch with.
Yeah.
And but what other kind of resources? What do you really need to kind of help you really expand these programs?
Oh, I mean, there are so many different places my mind is going right now. I think that okay, for instance, Angie is offering up schools that she's working with and just making those connections. So I think number one would be personal relationships and connections that individuals who are involved in any of these organizations can lend to help get the word out, to introduce either potential mentors or schools who they feel are fitting for participating to the programs, make sure that they're aware that the programs exist and encourage them to get involved. Wasn't mentioned here, but there is actually also a regional partner network that's being built out for Missouri Green Schools that will have like regional hubs all throughout the state. And I think that there's a lot of room there for like USGBC member companies to be in a support role to schools that are interested in advancing sustainability. So much traction has been gained through the Green Schools Quest, and I see Ian put a question in the chat box that kind of feeds into this as well. Green Schools Quest is a USGBC program. Missouri Green Schools is a true partnered program where both MIA and USGBC are full in and working, daily on this. And we, thus far, a lot of the green ribbon schools have been longtime participants in the Green Schools Quest. The Green Schools Quest has helped us to recognize and see schools that are really advancing efforts and that have interest in these areas. And then we've been working with them kind of offline and to some degree, maybe not actively in their Green Schools Quest project, but in addition to that, towards helping them to get enrolled into Missouri Green Schools and forward into Green Ribbon. And so a lot of our first, some of the first schools that we're reaching out to in this pilot year are schools that have been involved in Green Schools Quest already, because we can know that they're right for it. But yes, the Vista team, is working daily on developing materials and thinking about ways to get this information out and working on developing contacts. And that, presentations, thinking about different audiences, K through 12 audiences, conferences across the state, we're just trying to get the word out there in that way. When thinking about, and so to bridge these programs more and more, we're trying to think through right now, how can we kind of cement that a little bit more, that participating in one really would heavily encourage you to participate in the other, because they do have different purposes. They are complementary rather than, they don't they're not in replace of one another, they're complementary. And I think when we look ahead, thinking about diversifying schools, I know that, yes, the Vista team is really working on that. but I feel like the group that we have here today, our mentor pool, you know, may be able to help us to diversify the mentor pool. And so we need to get further out geographically throughout the state. We need to engage a more racially diverse group of mentors, and also mentors who's, you know, we're always looking for varied expertise. And I feel that we do have pretty varied expertise in the mentor base, but so professional connections, you know, mentors. Okay. That was a very long-winded answer. What, any initial thoughts on, like, for the Green Schools Quest hybrid model for next year? Like, how's it been going with the monthly challenges versus the long-term projects for any of you who have been involved for more than 1 year? Would anyone care to share?
I mean, I can share a little. I think both of the schools that I've worked with are still doing sort of like one unified project, but they're just focusing on different aspects of it each month, because I think it's, at least for the teachers I've worked with, it's been easier to maintain momentum on one concept or idea and focus on different aspects than to look at a different thing every month. And I don't know if that's just the two teachers I happen to be paired with. But like one of them, I think we were looking at like plastic bags. So the first one we kind of looked at material science of plastic bags. And then we looked at where do plastic bags go and how does that affect like the communities where plastic pollution ends up. And as like global citizenship, they're looking at like different projects from around the world that are really focused on plastic bags. So it's all like one idea, but split into these different concepts.
That's awesome. That's great. That's actually the ideal scenario. Would anyone else like to share?
I'll jump in. I feel like you did an amazing job with the planning and the rainbow of sustainability and having the different topics and different activities. Like I'm impressed with like just the amount of materials that were provided to have the program be adapted that way. I felt as a mentor, it was a little bit harder for me to contribute because some of the topics were less what I was familiar with. And so early on, I had more engagement with my mentor at Nifer Middle School, or with my educator at Nifer Middle School. And then just as the months evolved, I think the teacher also, she was Courtney, I think she was just more confident also in what she was doing. And, you know, she was using Green Schools Quest with her sustainability class. And we just didn't connect as much as the months progressed. And I think they were kind of doing different things. I love the idea of still having that longer term project and breaking it up into pieces. And I'm kind of kicking myself for not thinking of that, but some of their work did relate to each other. That was just the hardest part for me, I think, is I felt like I wanted to contribute more and I just didn't exactly always know how.
I'm seeing a lot of head nodding. Are there others who would like to share anything along those lines?
They covered the most of what I was going to say, so good job, ladies. I would like to add that this is my first year doing it, so I didn't experience the previous way, but I really appreciated the breakups of the months in the sense of giving them the option to not participate every month, because I was with a high school and they had, it's like it's a club, and so it's a lot of seniors, and they just had a bunch of things. So there was a month where they really didn't do much, but then the next month they picked back up and they're like, okay, let's refocus. So I like that with the state of the world this year, I thought that the option to not do every month was a nice addition.
That's great to hear. Well, I do want to give a shout out to Victoria as well for helping to compile out of those monthly resources too. And it's wonderful that we can continue to build upon those every year. And I mean, those resources are here to stay. So we do want to continue adding to those. It's really awesome to hear this feedback. And I want to just share one additional piece of information. There's another initiative called the Sustainability Institute for Educators that is, when you look at the Green Schools page on our website, you'll see that one. And that is in its 10th year. And so we've been working on that for quite some time. That is really oriented towards integrating sustainability into the curriculum. And that is where we sourced the rainbow of sustainability from. So one of the founders of the Institute, she had developed that. And this year, it was a really unique opportunity for us to kind of bridge some of the different projects that we've been working on in that way and integrate the rainbow a little bit more, because we've always wanted for schools to look through these different lenses, even when they're working on one project, because it's intended, honestly, as a tool to be used on one project that you then look at through all of those different lenses. But we want to kind of make it a little bit looser for this and adaptable for this year. So it's neat to see that it has kind of naturally turned out that way in some senses. And anyway. Oh, good. There's another link to the Sustainability Institute. I know that we are at time. And so I just want to, again, give a huge thanks to each of you, because every person here today is contributing to this program and to, or at least one or more of the programs that we're talking about today. And they wouldn't be thriving without you. And they're really picking up momentum. And so please do take with you, some of the things that we've talked about today. And if you have additional feedback for us when we think about what the structure will be for next year, or how we can further diversify participants, please do reach out and send those thoughts my way and help us to do this expansion. and thank you for your time today. I wish we had more time to hear from you. I feel like I talk too much.
Yes, yay. Thank you, Hope. This was great. Yes, thank you everyone for being here this morning. So good to see faces. Okay, we'll have to do this again. And we will send a follow-up email with the recording and all of the links that we mentioned in the chat. So keep an eye out for that next week. And everybody have a great weekend.
Oh, thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Yay.